Senator Rounds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Darcy, since 2001, the Supreme Court decision in Swank, no isolated wetland has been found to be jurisdictional. However, under the new WOTUS rule, there are 5 categories of isolated wetlands that you now expect to regulate, because the final rule makes a legal determination that these categories are similarly situated. This means that you will look at aggregate impacts when deciding whether there is significant nexus to navigable waters. The Prairie Pothole region, which includes South Dakota, encompasses 5.3 million acres of land in the Midwestern United States. Can you tell how many acres of land in the United States are impacted by all 5 categories of this new provision?
I don't have that number with me, Senator, but I'd be happy to try to find it for you.
It would be I'd appreciate it if we could get that, and I'm just an assumption, pretty significant amount of land in the United States. Fair statement?
Yes, but again, the exact number we will provide to you.
Okay. What's the basis for determining that all wetlands in these categories within a watershed are similarly situated?
Senator, during the scientific consideration that we did through the connectivity report that was reviewed by the Science Advisory Board, it was the connectivity, the potential for connectivity of those kinds of water bodies and the impact that they might have a connection to a downstream navigable water is present, which means that it's a possibility. That's why you can do a significant nexus test, that if it is determined that there is a significant nexus between that kind of water and in its impact to a downstream navigable water, then if that determination is made, then that would be a jurisdictional water.
You recognize that this rule would make some significant changes in the definitions of waters of the United States.
It's possible that if there is a significant nexus between those 5 similarly situated types of waters, that there could be some impact to downstream waters, and that is the ultimate goal, is to try to prevent negative impacts to the downstream waters.
But you also understand, and in your testimony you indicated that 404 permits are a critical part of the responsibility of the Corps in terms of determining the issuance of those, and that they impact not only quality of water, but it impacts, because they want certainty, economic activity as well. Fair statement?
Yes.
So you understand how critical, and the reason why it's so important for a lot of people out there, the business community, a lot of people depending upon the availability of access to the shores, the waterways, and so forth. This is a pretty important economic decision, isn't it?
Yes, and the health of the water is also a very crucial economic decision.
But
as well.
I mean, this was not made in a vacuum. The Corps of Engineers clearly understood how important this decision in determining what is and what is not included in the waters of the United States. This was not something that you took on lightly. You understood the significance of it.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, you indicated litigation. Do you know how many different lawsuits you're involved with right now on this particular rule?
I believe there have been, I know that 31 states have sued. I think there are an additional, I think maybe 60 to 70 cases.
I think right now, if I could, I think right now that according to our information, I think there's like 22 different lawsuits involving 31 separate states of the United States right now on this particular rule. Clearly, the impact of this rule for these states seems to, I think you were right in your determination that this was a very important rule that you have made some interpretations on. Fair to say?
It is a very important rule. I think it's a generational rule for the Clean Water Act.
If we look at not just the combination of literally what is in this particular case, the political outlook for all of these states, when you have this many bodies all sitting side by side challenging what has been done in this particular case, and then you look at the impact economically in terms of the significant changes it could make with regards to the number of 404 permits, the number of individuals, whether they're farmers, ranchers. This is one of the biggest, perhaps, political and economic deals you've been involved with in perhaps a generation.
I think it's one of the most important rules in order to protect the water quality of this country, yes.
Not only for water quality, but in terms of the political impacts, the political challenges involved, and the economic impact as well, fair to say?
There are challenges, yes, Senator,
But would you agree with my statement?
that it is the largest,
One of the largest, a very, very important in terms of economic impact, and very, very important in terms of the political impact.
yes, it is.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.